The path to the cypress grove is thin, overgrown, and smells faintly of thyme, old rain, and something gently toasted. Maybe sandalwood. Maybe sandals. The trees themselves aren't like the others. These cypresses lean as though caught mid-laughter. Some bent in on themselves, others twisted like dancers stuck in awkward poses. You walk slowly beneath their bowed branches, and the air grows stiller with every step. Somewhere between two particularly gnarled trunks, you hear what sounds suspiciously like stage directions. Enter mildly confused wanderer. Dim light. Soft existential breeze. You pause. Look around. Nothing. Then a rustle, and you see it. A clearing, perfectly circular, carpeted in moss. In its center, of course, is a stage, not marble, not grand. Just a raised wooden platform built with care and definitely not up to modern safety codes. This is the goose's last performance. According to legend, Milagros returned here once every decade to perform a one-goose show about identity, revenge, feather maintenance, and the futility of ambition. The audience? Trees, frogs, sometimes confused travelers like yourself. You step onto the stage. It creaks dramatically. Of course it does. On a nearby bench is a mask half human, half beak. You pick it up. It smells of thyme and citrus oil. You put it on, and just like that, you begin to remember things you never lived. Standing ovations from reeds. Critiques from clouds. A particularly brutal review carved into a tree trunk by a squirrel. You speak, not entirely of your own will. Once I soared, not in skies, but in expectations. Now I flap between metaphors, molting apologies. Somewhere, a goat bleats approvingly. You laugh. And then you cry, not because you're sad, but because the act of being a goose, even temporarily, is apparently very emotionally complicated. You remove the mask. Silence returns. You sit on the edge of the stage. The moss below is cool and sympathetic. A breeze drifts through, carrying the sound of faint applause. Just once, a single clap, possibly a falling fig. Still, it counts. You look around the clearing, wondering if Milagros was ever truly here, or if this was all some elaborate dream, fueled by too many figs and one very persuasive feather. You find a message carved into the wood, beneath the bench. When the world honks, honk back. But with nuance. Scholars still argue whether this is a profound philosophy or simply the world's first stand-up punchline. The light begins to fade again, curling at the edges like parchment left too close to the hearth. And in the distance, soft, irregular, familiar, the honking resumes. Not mockery. Not confusion. Just recognition. The light fades, but not into darkness, into something gentler, a kind of deepening. The stage behind you vanishes into shadow as if it's been pulled offstage by unseen hands. You step off the mossy platform and back onto the path, though you're no longer quite sure what path means anymore. Everything ahead looks slightly invented. The honking continues, but quieter now and more rhythmic, almost like breathing, or laughter slowed down to a lullaby. You follow it through a narrow cleft between two stones shaped like duckbills, a coincidence, surely, and emerge into a hidden glen. Moonlight pools here like milk spilled carefully on velvet. The grass is silver and still. Everything feels sacred and slightly overacted. In the middle of the glen stands a tree, But not just any tree. This is the tree of ambiguous endings, so named because every story told beneath it seems to conclude in some kind of question mark. You've heard of it, of course. Everyone who's ever lost their train of thought in the middle of a sentence has, in some way, passed through it. The branches twist upward into a spiral, like the tree itself is trying to decide what it wants to be when it grows up. Bits of ribbon, fig stems, and worn-out sandals hang from the lower limbs offerings, or decorations, or maybe just ancient litter. You sit beneath a dot, and of course, Meleagros is there, dot sitting cross-legged, plucking at a stringless lyre. He doesn't look at you, just plays the silence like an instrument. I suppose this is where it ends. He says softly. You shake your head. Ah, that's the thing about stories. They don't like to end. They like to nap. Then wake up somewhere new wearing someone else's shoes. You ask him finally if he's truly Meleagros. He smiles. Some days, he offers you the lyre. It weighs nothing. You pluck an imaginary note and hear a real one echo off the stones. You ask what it was like, being transformed. He closes his eyes, oddly freeing. People expect less of birds. Unless you're an owl, then everyone assumes you have answers. Geese, though, we're allowed to be loud, lost, and a little mean. It's strangely honest. You sit together in the quiet. The tree above you rustles gently. A single sandal drops from a branch and lands beside you. You both ignore it. An obscure local tradition. In some remote villages, children wear mismatched shoes on festival days in honor of Meleagros, symbolizing both transformation and terrible fashion choices. I tried so hard to be wise. He mutters, to say things worth remembering. But it turns out, people remember you more for the weird honks than the polished verses. You nod. He grins. You're near the last feather now, he says. Follow the stream. It knows how to end a story better than I do. And with that, he fades again, not disappears, not vanishes. Just fades, like a song you walk away from. The moon tilts slightly, as if approving. And somewhere behind the tree, a gentle ripple of applause. Or maybe it's water. Stream waits for you. It curves through the grass like a question asked in a whisper. The moon reflects in its shallows, broken only by passing leaves and a curious frog who watches you as if you owe it money. You follow the water downstream, stepping over roots and stones and thoughts you don't quite recognize as yours. The stream is called Echo's End. No one's sure who named it. Some say it speaks the last words of those who listen closely. Others insist it simply burbles nonsense and people assign meaning like they always do. Either way, it has a reputation. You crouch beside it. Listen. Nothing at first. Then a single line. Clear and cool. You were never the goose. You were always the song. You sit for a while, unsure whether to be comforted or deeply confused. Local superstition claims that the stream once sang a complete epic in dactylic hexameter, but only to a bored fisherman with no way to write it down. When asked later what the poem was about, he just said, mostly fruit, some betrayal. You trail your fingers through the current. The stream hums again. Feathers fall, but voices float. You smile. The path ends here, where the stream pools into a quiet basin surrounded by tall reeds and smooth stones. And there, Half submerged in moss lies the final object, a scroll wrapped in twine, bound with wax in the shape of a feather. You pick it up. The wax crumbles softly in your palm. You open it slowly. Inside is a single sentence written in looping, half-legible script. When you are forgotten, be unforgettable to yourself. Historians still debate whether this was written by Meleagros or left by a different bird-themed philosopher whose name has been lost to mildew and irony. You tuck the scroll under your arm. The wind shifts, and you realize you've stopped hearing the honking. But it's not gone. It's just part of you now. Like the stories, like the feathers. Like the strange, inconvenient wisdom that only arrives after you've embarrassed yourself thoroughly and still decide to keep going. You lie back beside the stream. The stars have come out again, bolder this time. One of them winks at you. Or maybe it's just a trick of the fig leaf drifting overhead. The water murmurs beside you, and as your eyes close, you hear the faintest whisper of a honk. Not near. Not far. Just enough, and perfectly timed.